So Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is a new cartoon on Disney Plus based off the Marvel comic Moon Girl, which was created in late 2015. The titled character Moon Girl, or Lunella, is considered to be one of the smartest superheroes out there, at least on the Marvel side of things. I'm not a big superhero fan, but even the comics caught my eye with the awesome art and character design before I knew there was a show in production, and the show is even more beautiful to me. In this video, I talk about why I'm really loving this show so far, as well as some aspects of the writing and art I enjoy in a little further detail. The show is pretty episodic so far at least, so there's nothing I can really spoil, so whether you've seen the show and want to hear a review of it, or if you're debating watching it, maybe this video will convince you to check it out afterwards. So the show is about Lunella, a genius young girl who lives in the Lower East Side of New York City. She's fascinated by a mysterious scientist named Moon Girl who disappeared one day, and in an attempt to emulate her work, Lunella ends up creating a space-time rift that causes this big dinosaur to show up, who she eventually nicknames Devil Dinosaur, or just Devil for short. You could say this show is like Dexter's Lab meets Clifford the Big Red Dog, but with a villain of the week formula, at least so far. I've seen a couple people say, oh great, my grandma's gonna be posting on Facebook about how this show is the devil in disguise or something because of the name, but I think it works well to capture a wide demographic. Kinda like how Powerpuff Girls captured a wide audience despite its main characters being little girls, since they had tons of action and violence and comedy. So you know, Moon Girl does a similar thing by throwing a big red dinosaur into the equation. I think it's really funny how little people react to a giant red dinosaur being in the city. Like, there's something refreshing about how Devil can just bust some moves at the roller rink or skate on taxis, and we don't have to worry about the FBI showing up or Devil needing to have a disguise all the time. You know, like, he doesn't have to dress like an old lady to walk through town, but Devil faces issues like trying to sneak up on villains and being too big and clumsy. Like, I guess people in their neighborhood just see their fair share of crazy stuff and aren't too fazed by this. I don't know. Devil Dino basically just acts like a cute big dog the majority of the time. Like, look at this clip of him drinking water. That's so cute! I can't stand it. The art and animation in this show is just stunning, too. It's animated by Flying Bark Productions, and I've always been a really big fan of their work. They're an Australian animation studio who animated Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Glitch Tex, and while Glitch Tex to me is one of the best animated cartoons ever, you could make the argument Moon Girl has even more style than that. I feel like I talk about this a lot when I talk about what aesthetics I like in animation, but I just love their use of texture. The line work of the characters has this rough yet controlled look. Their hair is super nice, with the outer edges having this bit of implied texture while not looking too busy or distracting. And there's these little graphics that pop up like every 30 seconds when they're talking and stuff that feeds the Subway Surfers ADHD section of my brain. Like, I could watch this show in another language and probably understand what's happening from the little visuals and pop-ups alone. They push this even further at times when the characters pop up in little comic panels in the corner of the screen. Like, look at this clip. They're even pushing and bouncing off each other in their panels. It's just so alive. Really, every shot in this show is gorgeous. Like, there's not 5 seconds that go by where I can't say there's strong animation or a cute pop-up and graphic, or just nice subtle character acting animation. A clip I think that shows the ambition of the animation well is the dad talking on the phone in a scene. Like, it's just a basic plot device to have him quickly enter his phone and realize their friend can't watch the rink for them, letting Lunella take on the responsibility of running the roller rink for a night, and they could have him just answer the phone, but instead they have him on roller skates moving through the rink, even for such a short clip. The show is just constantly pushing the envelope to me. I wanted to quickly mention how I love the writing and kinda improv style of dialogue sometimes when they talk. The writing is just funny and feels really realistic to me, like in this clip.
My hands are shaking. Girl, everything is shaking. But my grandma once told me bravery is what you do when you're flat out scared.
Aw, old people are the best.
I know, my grandma's so cute. Okay.
Every episode ends with a music video where they fight the bad guy of the episode, and I love when shows do this. Like, I love shows like Class of 3000 that had a music video every episode, or Sonic Underground. The songs aren't too on the nose or too distracting of the on-screen events, they just kind of flow well and look pretty. Like, look at the colors they use. Dang! I think one of the more pleasant surprises of the show is Lunella's best friend Casey being a really pleasant character. They first show her on screen like an influencer in progress, and I thought she was gonna be kinda rude or vapid, but she's actually a funny, multi-talented girl boss who works on making Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur famous online. She acts as a manager, an agent, a photographer and fashion designer, as well as a friend. To give you a better idea of how all these elements work together, I'd like to quickly recap the pilot episode, which is actually on YouTube officially, so you can check it out even if you don't have Disney+. So we start with an introduction to Lunella's family, who run a roller rink in the Lower East Side of New York City. It's portrayed as a very close-knit community. As I mentioned before, Lunella's a genius trying to recreate the scientist Moon Girl's inventions, and she ends up creating a portal that brings this dinosaur into our world. I've read a little bit about what happens in the comics, and I guess in the comics the villains they fight against are actually brought here inadvertently from Lunella's invention. And there's also a lot more focus on an alien race or something, but I haven't really read much. I kinda got this info from the character profile of Lunella on Marvel's website. I won't spoil anything, but I read some crazy stuff in the overview premise of the comic that I don't know if the show will get to in more details. If I had to guess, I think this will be a lot like shows where the first season is more episodic and testing the waters, then season 2 will probably get into a more overarching plot. And I'll just say now, if this show does end up tackling the more complex plots and villains I read about, this will really be an amazing show. Looking at this in the context of a Disney Plus streaming show, I'd imagine it could take a similar trajectory to something like Owl House, for example. So in this episode, the neighborhood is currently experiencing blackouts that are affecting their businesses, which would even potentially cause their family to sell the roller rink, and worst of all,
we get pushed out of the community we love. I'm not raising my baby in Jersey. No disrespect to Jersey.
Lunella finds out the cause of the blackouts is this woman named Aftershock. I didn't know this was a reference to a Marvel villain by the same name. Aftershock is the daughter of the villain Electro, who you may be more familiar with. You've probably seen him before. He's this guy in that meme from a couple years ago of the comic villain smiling, that always had the me and the boys captions, like, me and the boys when we switch our names when we have a substitute teacher. So that's a pretty cool reference if you're a more savvy fan, but even for me who's pretty oblivious, I think everything looks super cool. If anything, I thought she looked like that Phantom Virus villain from Scooby-Doo Cyber Chase. God, I'm so stupid. So Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur try to fight Aftershock in her secret lair, and they get totally defeated. Devil gets shocked really badly, and they manage to escape, and you see him all bandaged up. I love that he has a big gulp cup with a giant curly straw. It's just cute. But yeah, he got hurt so bad that Lunella and Casey question if they're in too far over their heads and if they should just stop this altogether. But before they can discuss this further, it's time for school, and it turns out Aftershock becomes the new fill-in teacher for Lunella's class, which is a great touch. Like, they just got their butts kicked, and she says, if you mess with me anymore, I'll do to your family what I did to your dinosaur. Like, that's terrifying. And she's also gonna fail her. They do a great job putting their backs against the wall and building up the scale of the situation. She also tells Lunella to read chapter 5 for tomorrow, which is just pretty funny. Like, I can respect that she takes her job as an educator seriously. We need more people like her. Sorta. I should quickly mention when the power goes out, we see the classroom lights flicker, and there's 3 kids that are cosplaying as Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke from Naruto. I think this is honestly how I found out about this show, so that's pretty cool. I don't know why they drew Sakura like this though, it's just so jarring to me. Naruto looks really cool in this style though, and I guess Sasuke's supposed to be like an emo, which I guess is very fitting actually for Sasuke. Lunella basically says they need to give up and Aftershock is too powerful, and this causes an argument between Casey and Lunella, since Casey tries to push Lunella to keep fighting, even mentioning how Lunella said earlier one girl can make a difference. I think this shows how well done their friendship is, because Casey is always supportive and pushing those around her to their potential, whether it be as a personal trainer, or as an agent, or as a friend. So we see this rift in their friendship is caused more by the self-doubt and insecurity, rather than an issue they have with each other. Lunella also convinces Devil to go back to his own time period to avoid him getting hurt any further.
But Mr. Krabs is right. You belong in the wild.
Just get out of here, you stupid
dumb animal!
Lunella has a really sweet conversation with her grandma and decides to make amends with Casey, and it's just really funny and cute. Like, they both open the door at the same time to go apologize to the other. It's just a nice touch. Lunella uses her intelligence and analysis to piece together that Aftershock has to be charging her electricity from somewhere near the school, and she dons the Moon Girl costume one more time. She bothers the local town people in order to gather a crowd to expose her villainous teacher, who's gathering all the electricity from a charging station nearby. It seems kinda careless, like just messing with a charging station in public seems like you'd get caught doing that eventually, but it doesn't matter because the episode just jumps straight into a music video fight sequence with really cool colors and animation. We get a really cool fight to end the episode where Devil Dino helps save Lunella, revealing he didn't actually leave when she told him to because it was dangerous here, and I love how the whole neighborhood comes together to help too. Whether it be Lunella's family defending Moon Girl, who they don't know is actually their daughter, to Casey coaching all the civilians to bring Moon Girl this big flagpole, kinda like a lightning rod to defeat Aftershock. Thematically, I love how they all help to defeat the villain and how they all support each other, even in the little end sequence of all the businesses that were closed due to the blackouts opening back up, or how Devil is playing jump rope or grabbing hot dogs on the way by. It's just so great and so cute. I really have nothing but praise for it. The last thing I wanted to mention as I wrap this early review up is that the show has really nice diversity and representation. Like, Casey has two dads, there's a non-binary student in Lunella's class, the majority of the characters we know the names of at least are Black and Latino, which is really cool because we even have an episode about picture day at school, and how Lunella's big hair is called messy and frizzy.
My mom went in on me about how my hair looked this morning.
That's ridiculous.
Right? Thank you, girl.
I mean, your hair always looks messy like that.
Okay, Patty Mayonnaise, damn. And we see insight on Lunella's family and how they view her hair as part of their culture and tradition, or how her mom looks at Lunella's hair as part of her progression through life. They tie it up in a good way by making the villain of the episode Lunella's natural hair that had a chemical reaction with her experiment and is sabotaging her because it was betrayed when Lunella changed up her hairstyle. It just feels really nice to me that kids these days have a show like this where they can have a character that looks like them, or shares a struggle they may have. And it's a nice touch that they acknowledge how people have historically called naturally curly black hair unprofessional and messy, and cause them to feel insecure. Just really nice touches throughout the show. So yeah, overall, Moon Girl is a really nice show so far. Super funny, snappy dialogue, great animation with a super charming style, and if the show progresses similarly to the scale of the comics from the little I've read, be on the lookout because I think this show will get pretty crazy and cool. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, liking and subscribing helps a lot. I'd love to know your thoughts on the show or on this video. I read through all your comments, and I've been getting a ton of interesting comments lately that I really appreciate. I gotta go feed the dinosaur now. Okay, bye.